Welcome, Caleb Jansons, to the Canton Parker podcast.
Thank you.
Who the hell names a podcast after themselves? Me. Why? Why not? But bro, welcome. Thanks so much for taking the time today to come and talk to a friend. The whole premise of season 1 is friends and family, and I just wanted to have real conversation, raw conversation, heartfelt conversation with people that I consider friends and family. And the whole idea of it is a collection of stories. And I think to kick right into it, because the problem with you and I, and you know this, is we can talk, bro. Because I don't think we're shy on sharing stories, sharing moments, creating stories, creating moments, you know, in the gaming content sphere, in the movie context sphere, which is primarily where like kind of you fit in. But then even outside of that, you know, we're both men of God, which is great. We love Jesus. And it's cool that there's so many different things between the two of us, but so many different things are the same thing, if that makes sense. Same, but different. But yeah,
but still
bro.
Same.
But yeah, dude. So I think straight off the bat, I just wanted to find out. You once upon a time told me a story. You used to work in like, correct me if I'm wrong, like wildlife, nature, film, documentary stuff.
Yes. Okay, cool.
And you slept on the edge of a cliff.
Yes.
What the hell, bro?
Okay, so this all happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Wildlife documentary. I was busy working for a company called Africa Cries Film Productions. And we were busy filming roe eagles, which are also known as African black eagles. And so we were filming in a region called Reemvasmark, which is just underneath the Namibian border. So very, very, very dry, arid region. And the only water source that was nearby was the Orange River. So what we would have to do is, of course, black eagles, they build their nests on cliff sides. So what you would have to do is it depends where we set up our bases. Most of the times we set up our bases at the base of a mountain, but sometimes if you don't want to walk or climb the mountain every single day, because that's where the eagles are, you try to camp as close as possible. So that's how that happened. And there's that could be a whole episode in and of itself.
Because my guy sleeping on the side of a cliff, there's the whole saying did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? There's no
wrong side.
Well, hold on, maybe there is a wrong side, but it's like a good few meters falling down.
So thankfully it was never that extreme.
Okay.
There are places where it gets crazy. There were one or two nights, or I would say evenings, where it did happen, but that wasn't a common practice because it gets so incredibly cold.
Oh, really?
Up there. So you're in the desert, right? And deserts get hot. So in the day it is boiling temperatures, but at night it goes below freezing, and that's when I had to learn to just trust people. And it's going to sound so dumb, but I remember I would get so cold. I would sleep in my sleeping bag, fully clothed with the jacket on, and I'd still be
really?
So cold. And I remember the one day,
minus degrees Celsius.
You'd go out into the desert, and I don't know if you've ever seen meerkats, you know how they come out in the sun?
Yeah.
There were times where I would look at these meerkats, I'm like, how are you alive? You should have actually died. And I realized body warmth, so obviously. But nah, they should die at a more rapid rate with how cold it was getting there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I remember freezing my flipping butt off, and I was my teeth were chattering loud. And eventually my friend was like, Caleb, what are you doing? I was like, I'm
dying.
Trying to survive. And he's like, no, Caleb, you're doing this wrong. I'm like, how am I sleeping in a sleeping bag wrong? And he explained no, you got to strip down to your underwear and sleep in this, because the sleeping bag radiates heat. It brings your body heat back at you. I was like, this guy's lying. And the issue is I was so scared that because if he's wrong, I will freeze to death. But no, I learned sometimes you just got to trust people who know what they're doing, because
And they've done it before.
They've done it before, and it's the dumbest thing. But yeah, no, I had to in my sleeping bag, I started getting undressed, and and that was the best sleep of my night. I fell asleep 2 minutes later, and I was I woke up, and the only thing that really sucks is then you've got to get out your sleeping bag,
and then it
hits you like a ton of bricks.
It's a really cold day.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something now, trusting people that know what they're talking about and that have done it before. Obviously, in life, we've grown up, and I think everyone with a beating heart that was a teenager once upon a time thought that they knew everything.
Yes.
And it's no, in some ways, I know what I'm doing. clearly we don't know what we're doing. I mean, I'm now 30 and I still feel like sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, but that's a whole other thing. But like outside of now, obviously sleeping on the edge of a cliff, being at the ripe, tender age that you are at, realizing and coming to the conclusion, like I guess in my viewpoint, I said this to my dad the once, I was like, oh, you were right all along. And my dad just looked at me like smiling. He's like, yeah, because I remember being like super rebellious.
Yeah.
Maybe still am sometimes. But like I like to push boundaries. Let's put it that way. But like I've now looked back and I look at like youngsters that I kind of want to just do a flying drop kick at just because I'm like, calm down. You don't have it all together. You don't know everything. And then I realized and I almost get a reminder like, oh yeah, Canton, that was once you. But now, in your context, having people in your world, because in my opinion, I'm going to puff you up a little bit. I feel like you are one of the people that are wise and that you have a lot of maturity. And obviously, the prerequisite to that maturity comes with a lot of hardship, comes with a lot of pain, comes with a lot of sleepless nights, comes with a lot of tears, comes with a lot of headaches. There's a lot of stuff that breeds maturity and obviously character. At what point in your life was there someone, if not, maybe even just like you opened the Bible and it was like, boom, and it just happened for you. But like, who are the prolific voices in your life that managed to get you to where you are now mentally? Because you haven't arrived, but you're definitely not where you used to be. How was that for you growing up from the transition of thinking you know it all to realizing I've got so much to learn?
You asked that question so beautifully.
Thank you.
There was such a part of me that just wants to be like, no, I'm perfect. I'm perfect. One thing I've realized, especially in the last, like, I would say 9 months with a whole tidal wave of things that have happened, is that you are never going to get to a point where you have it all figured out.
Wow.
Like ever. And I was having a really deep conversation with a friend of mine, and he was like, he pointed something out to me, and it's something that I didn't realize is so true, but I realized subconsciously I've always been trying to action it in my life. And it was that we've got to stay humble enough to be teachable. And there are aspects in everybody's lives where like we forget to be humble because like when you've been a content creator for so many years and you've worked with so many brands, you kind of think you've got that all figured out. Or when you're even just like in interpersonal relationships or anything, like you get to a point where you do forget to be humble and remember that, hey, there are corners that none of us can see. We've all got blind spots. And so where I've been so blessed is I've always had strong people in my life that I can look up to. My dad is a great example of that. He is a mighty man of valor. Like he is, I wish I could have just a fraction of the dedication he has to pursuing God. That he has been such an example to me in that regard. My mom is one of the strongest people I know. She never gives up. Like our family motto is never give up, never give in, never lose faith.
I like that.
And so I can look around at everyone in my immediate family, my brother, my sister, my mom, my dad, and they all inspire me. I've been so blessed in the fact that even outside of my immediate circle, in regards to my friends and family, I'm surrounded by strong people. I think about Vincent. I think about you. I think about another guy. Have you ever met Cameron Vernon? Yes. Yeah, no, of course.
We were together last night, actually.
Oh, really? Flip. Okay. You guys, I want to do one of those, like, who was it? Pedro Pascal was like, you should know this too.
Well, you got to look at that camera.
Yo, he turns around in the game. But yeah, you should know this too. But no, so I've been so blessed in that regard. And to get unreasonably deep and not give away all the details though, in December was the hardest period of my life.
Sure, yeah.
Like, full on that, like, I mean, there was not a single night I don't think didn't cry to myself to sleep. Like I cried every single night. And I had such a crisis of identity. I was like, who am I? What's my purpose? Because I had all of that stripped away from me. And I think what was so great is having so many people that know me intimately, that know, Caleb, like, what you're experiencing isn't you. You aren't the sum of your circumstances. You're how you respond to them. And I remember there was something my dad said. He was like, Caleb, I need you to remember that you're a king's kid. So it's not even the fact that I'm my dad's son.
That's a great tattoo.
Yeah. I am virgin skin.
Yeah, me too. But yeah.
So not only am I the son of a great man who's my dad, I am the son of an almighty God. And so being able to wear that identity is great as well. But I think what's really helped me most recently is, especially where I work now, I've started working at a new company in Pretoria. My best friend sits right next to me. And even when I sigh, whether I'm like, or he can like tell by my sighs how I'm feeling, which is annoying at times.
Can I not just sigh, bro?
But or even when I send him a voice note, he can look at the wavelength and be like, this is one where Caleb cries.
Oh, really?
But having someone that you can really rely on and depend on,
sure,
who knows what's best for you, that's a blessing. And so God has been so good to me in that regard, putting people into my life that I know I can lean on. Because I gave a speech at Comic-Con last year where I was talking about identity, and then I was also talking about having people in your corner that love you and want what's best for you. Jordan Peterson, he has this great quote where he talks, and it's so simple, and theoretically we should all know this, but we don't always practice it. But it's like, what is a good friend? A good friend is someone who's happy for you when you're happy and sad for you when you're sad. But too often we hang out with people who find joy in our sadness, or especially us in the content creator scene, and tell me if you've experienced this at all, but there are people who experience jealousy when you succeed.
Sure.
When you get a new sponsorship or when you get a new brand deal, there are people who go, but why him?
Wow.
Why not me? And so that's why it's also difficult sometimes in the content creator space and knowing who you can trust, because you need to be able to be with people who, when you succeed, they go, damn, that's awesome. Like when you get flown to another country to play a video game for like, that's amazing. I mean, that's so cool, dude.
Yeah,
so,
I think I'm the person that's more like, why me? But yeah, man, I think, what you mentioned there with Jordan Peterson's quote, and Jordan Peterson's a phenomenal communicator. Be sad with people who are sad and be happy with people that are happy. And it's one of those things where I think we misunderstand, and it sounds so preachy the way I'm saying this, but like misunderstand the power of just being a soccer mom. And I know that sounds so weird the way I say that, but like picture a soccer mom, like my mom, for example. Shout out Mother Bear. But like I remember being in school and like every sports event, whether it was football, athletics, like I didn't like cricket, but like specifically football, like I like to this day, I'm not the most massive football fan, but I really, really like football. Yeah. And my mom was like always there, fetching my friends. Like when I was like running on the field, my mom's the person on the side, like, come on, and like, shouting and everything. I'm like, Mom, shut up. Like, but it's like, but when you're a kid, you're like, Mom, you're embarrassing me, leave me alone. But then now that I'm much older, I look back at that and I'm like, I'm so grateful for that because I understood the power of the soccer mom. And I understood just being a person that's on the sideline. I'm not on the field. I'm not the main character. I'm not even playing. But man, I want to see you succeed. And I think there needs to be, even like, in our context, we're in the content creator field. We've obviously got our bread and butter. We've got jobs. So we enjoy our jobs. But we've also got our peanut butter and jelly, which is what we do with content and stuff and games and films and all of that. But just seeing other people win. It's like, for me, like I would love to be that person. And maybe it's going to come across a bit selfish. Maybe it's going to come across a bit prideful the way I say this. But I want to be known as the person that when someone gets asked the question, oh, who's your biggest fan? I don't want you to say whatever. I want, Canton's always been that guy. And sure, maybe I don't always get it right. But like from the bottom of my heart, I want to just see people win. Yeah. Like I do. Because I know what it feels like to win. And that feeling is such a motivator, it's such a fuel to win even more. Yeah. I mean, if you woke up in the morning and you just felt great, do you know how much you can actually achieve in that day? So now imagine just being the catalyst and the person to pour petrol on that fire in someone else's life to see them win. And I think that's what's so freaking important, and yet something that's missing so much in the world today. Something that I want to add on to that. And I feel like sometimes it's good to just reaffirm something that people have said. But like, you are definitely someone who does build people up. Like, thank you. you are literally known. I'm saying this
as a witness, but you are someone who does build people up, and you've gained a reputation as being like one of the few people in the content creator space that like has no ulterior motives. You just want people to succeed. And I think that's a great, testimony to your heart, to your character, to who you are as a person. Because you're awesome, man. You're great.
Oh, shucks. It's very difficult. Like, I think my wife is the only person that knows this. Like, we've been together for a long ass time now. I think 15 years together. Yeah. 5 years married, 15 years together. So 13 years. I'll probably get shouted at that. But 13 years together. And, high school sweethearts, very cool. But she's seen like everything in life. Yeah. And I remember, like, I've only really been doing content creation for maybe like 3 years now, maybe 3.5. However, I was always a content creator, but just for other people. Like, I would be the photographer, I was the videographer, I was the designer. Specifically with being in the music industry, I used to do cover art. Well, I still do cover arts, but cover arts and photo shoots and working for labels and, being around really, really influential high-end people. And I got to work, and I get to work with a lot of cool freaking people. And I do their content creation. I follow them around with the camera. I do the design. I do the thumbnail. So I've always been doing that since the age of 18. And the reason why I'm mentioning all of this is even before 18, working in like, the music, entertainment and events industry, I was a dude that just liked creating cool things. And I would often create things, and again, the only person that would know this is Shannon. But man, the amounts of people that would come at me, bro. Like, I'm not even kidding with what I'm about to say this. I'm not going to mention names, because if this guy ever watches this video, he's going to be like, you rather me out. But you know who you are, dog. And there was this guy who, I'm not even kidding, it probably doesn't exist anymore, but this guy made a Facebook page about me. Oh, no, I think before pages, I think it was a Facebook group. He made a Facebook group about me. This is now like, bro, like 2010, 2011, maybe 2011, 12, maybe around there. He made a Facebook group with a picture of me, and the name of the group was like, I think something like Canton Parker fraud. I can't remember the name of it. But this whole group's sole purpose, design, and function was just to try to show people that I was this fraud and I'm a this. And I was like, and I was accused of like copying people. And I'm like, what? And then the people that were in my corner, I was like, honestly, is this true? Because if it is, I need to do some retrospect and I need to fix this. And they were like, bro, this is the furthest thing from the truth. But at the time and in the moment, it kind of hurt. Yeah. Because I was like, bro, I've done nothing to you. And, you mentioned like, people are jealous when you succeed. Because at the time, like, because of the events industry, I had a lot of friends that were doing events in and around Johannesburg. So I would be like, oh, let's do a flyer. And come, let me take a photograph of you. And then we put it on. Oh, let's do this. And I still do that today. Even to the degree where like, I'll just reach out to someone and say, can I photograph you for free? I just want to take a photo of you. I want to see you, change your thumbnails or update your social presence or whatever, just because I want to see you win. And so that hasn't changed. But the thing that has changed is that the criticism now almost gives me a laugh, because I'm very rooted in my identity, knowing that, hey, I'm actually doing this because I want to. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. Yeah. And if you have a problem with it, I highly encourage you to run 100 miles an hour directly into a brick wall repeatedly and knock yourself out.
Who do you know that can run 100 miles an hour?
That's also very true. But the biggest thing is, and like we touched on it, but like seeing people succeed as opposed to being like jealous with people or jealous of people. And you would know this very well, but in the content creator sphere, as you mentioned, it's not always easy to be criticized and have that motivation
to carry on
and keep going and set up a light, set up a camera, and you take a deep breath and you're like, why the hell am I doing this? And you somehow just do it. And then you look at it and you're like, now you're looking at it through the filter of like, will people like it? Will people not like it? What will they say? Like, bro, my favorite time in life is just going through comments on anything. We live in a time right now. Welcome to planet Earth. What can we be offended about today?
100%.
And bro, like, sometimes I just want to grab people and be like, shut up. No one cares about your opinion. No man. Yeah. But just shut up. Yeah. But then I see comments sometimes on my stuff like, yo, bro, this week someone commented something on my TikTok and I read those comments and I was like, well, that's very hurtful. Why would you comment that?
You know what? I have got 3 separate YouTube videos dedicated to me reading hate comments that I've received.
You've inspired me to make one of these.
Like, please do. I'll send you some of the videos I've done in the past. You can see, like, dude, it's rough. Like, I don't even have. I don't know if I can repeat some of this, but I have been called like every name under the sun. And
this is
even
a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying my hardest. Like, I can't even paint a colorful picture for you.
Wow.
Because even if I like use euphemisms, that word, even if I try to kind of describe what I've received in my inbox, it's gonna be like, oh, that's too vulgar for this podcast.
Yeah.
But like the fact that I have 3 videos, and I think each one's like half an hour long, of me just reading hate comments because of my opinions. Like, if I'm like, I didn't enjoy this movie. What do you mean? You didn't enjoy this movie? You're uncultured. Blah 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 blah. Like, I've received death threats.
Legit? I haven't received a death threat yet.
No, I've received multiple. And
that's rough.
It's difficult. And so, like, going back to what you said earlier, it's like, how do you find the motivation to carry on with content creation? I think having people in your corner that do care about you, that's a big one. And I know I've spoken about that a lot, but I think people need to understand that, like, we're not designed as individuals to live life alone. Like, there's a reason we were created to be in community. And so having people that you can trust in your corner, like iron sharpens iron, it's a real thing. And being intentional with those friendships. I don't know if you remember, I sent you that WhatsApp like a while ago. And I was like, Canton, I want you to be one of the people in my life that, like, we are friends, not just because we're friends of circumstances, but I want to pursue a friendship with you. So, like, if there are people that I look up to, I'm like, because you are a combination of the people closest to you. So if there are people that you look up to, put them in your corner. But also, I think that it is important to retrospect as well. Like, every few months, if not at least once a year, reflect and go, why am I creating content? Because I know so many content creators who started out great, had such a passion for it, and then down the line hated it. Like, I know a ton of content creators who are creating content almost daily that hate it. And it's not even like they're getting paid to do it. It's not even like they're getting the biggest brand deals. They're just making themselves unhappy. So why do you do what you do? And do you enjoy what you do? Because I've had to pivot my content creation journey quite a few times. I'm in the process right now where I'm busy reflecting, and I've spent a lot of nights praying about it. Like, God, what do you want me to do now? Because I feel like the Netflix and the Disney thing, as much as I love working with them, it doesn't fill my creative bucket anymore. So I'm not going to continue watching and making movie reviews because I have to. Like, no, I'm going to do it because does it bring me joy? And I think there has to be that reflective process that creatives go on every so often. Because why do we create? We create because we enjoy it. It's a passion of ours.
Yeah, I had a conversation with a friend not too long ago, and they asked me, and it's so funny, for those of you that don't know, so as I mentioned, I've got my bread and butter, my job. Love my job. Love what I do. Love who I get to do it with, and the results that it brings. Then I have my peanut butter and jelly. It's my gaming, and I get to work with these brands.
Creative storytelling.
And, Rode microphones. Shout out Rode. And, creative storytelling and gaming. Woo, it's my tagline. Very cute. Put on a t-shirt, whatever. But it's like, why do a friend asked me, like, why do you do this? Like, do you get paid for it? Because like, is it the money? And I said, bro, in all honesty, I don't actually get paid for this gaming stuff. I don't, like, sure, sometimes there are paid gigs. And, like, not a whole lot of people know this. Only my wife knows this. So I'm telling you as a second person.
And now you'll know.
and everyone is hearing this for the first time. But, like, I like to boost my own content, not because I just have money to spend on stuff, but because I see the value of reaching an audience that hasn't found me yet. Not because I want views and not because I'm trying. It's just because I understand that there are people that genuinely just want to hear about games. That's it. And the funny thing about this, and this is the whole paradoxical dichotomy of the whole thing, is a big word for you, but like the question I posed to my friend when he was like, oh, like, why do you do what you do? And I said, if no one watched my videos, if I had one person watch all my content, would I still make content? Like, whatever the metric is, whatever the measurable, whatever, knock yourself out, would I still make content? And without a second of, like, hesitation, I just had a smile on my face and I went, yes. Because I don't make content for those people. I make it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because for the longest of times, I've always made content for other people in the context of being behind the scenes, being behind the camera, editing, doing everything I got to do. Now I get to do it for myself. Oh, that's cool. And like this game's coming out, like, and you know, I do copywriting, I do script writing. So I'm like, let me put a narrative together based on whatever the game is about. And like I'll twang in and okay, this word counts is this long of a video. So you know, I don't want to make it too long. Let me kind of do this. And it's like, I just enjoy doing that. And then I edit it. And I'm like, let me try this and let me try that. And then I share it and I'm like, right, now what? And then some people enjoy the content, some people
obviously don't,
which is fine, knock yourself out. But like, I don't do it with any other motive. And I think I never want to get to the point where it feels like I'm just doing it to maintain reputation or everyone knows I'm the gaming, the talk about the gaming. That's like horrible English. Everyone knows me as the guy who talks about games. Like, is that the reputation I'm trying to uphold? No, I don't really care about that. I just want to be a dude that if you, and like, you know this, no microphone, no camera. If you had to ask me about a game, I'll be like, bro.
Yeah.
And I will blah, 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 blah. There just happens to be a camera in front of me and a microphone attached to me. Shout out Rode microphones.
I was about to say, a Rode microphone.
A Rode microphone. But it's like, I would talk about it. And like someone said this the other day to me. They were like, dude, when you talk about games, I see you just come alive. Yeah. And I'm like, well, yeah, like I grew up in a gaming household. Like, gaming is and I always turn this to people, and it's very like poetic the way I put it. Gaming is my rest, rhythm, and recreation. I like to just chill. I like to unwind. I like to get, like yesterday I was playing again Assassin's Creed Mirage. I was loving it. But I guarantee you, if I had to post something about that, some people will be like, this is the what. And other people will be like, I'm like, just shut up. I'm going to take a tortilla and slap you in the face. Like, just shush. But all that to say, why do you do the content that you do? Why do you carry on? How do you carry on? Outside of criticism, outside of, you know, brands and, you know, the opportunities that we get to be included in. But why do you wake up, put on the camera and go, I'm going to talk about this?
So something that's changed a lot of how I do life, again, especially since December, because like, and I know I keep bringing it up. I'm not going to break down details. I'm talking to the camera. I feel like I've been breaking the fourth wall a lot on this podcast. But like, it was like life-altering stuff that happened. And you know this. But I'm trying to find a way of explaining to people what happened without actually explaining what happened. But like my whole life turned upside down. It's like I genuinely was sitting there at a point where like I literally told God this. I was like, God, like I'm not suicidal. I'm not. But if I died, I wouldn't be upset. Sure. Like I'd be in heaven. That's good. Because like in January, I didn't want to live. I didn't want to die. I just didn't actively want to be alive.
So I just have to bookmark that. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live.
Yeah.
And how the hell do you decide? Yeah, continue. So that's rough.
Like I'm answering not necessarily the content creation question, but like the carrying on question,
the big umbrella of the whole thing.
Umbrella of it, and then maybe at the bottom there'll be the content creation.
Yeah, maybe I'll answer your question. Yeah. But I'm gonna say.
But I realized something like there is, and now I'm going to like we'll get deep about Jesus, but I realized something like it's not about me. Sure. I live, and whether I have a happy life or not, I live because God is good. And I want to be able to worship God. And there's only one thing we can do on earth that we can't do in heaven. And that's worship when things are difficult. Because life won't be difficult in heaven. We suffer here on earth. And when we can worship while we suffer, that's something we can't do when we're in heaven. And so like every time I was feeling extra sad, I was like, well, I guess it's time for me to sing some worship music and cry in the shower and just tell God that he's great, because what else is there?
Sure.
And I realized, especially from a creative field, so like now let's go kind of back into the creative question. Like we only have the ability to be creative because we were made by a creator. Like we were made in his image. So we have in us essences, and well, essence is a bad word, but like we have bits of his DNA. We have bits of his abilities and his mind. Like we're made in his image. And so we can only be creative as a result of his creativity. And everything we do besides sin can be counted as worship. So when you're doing something, do it to the best of your abilities. So when I'm busy making a YouTube video, like my whole thing is like, yes, I want to make it as quickly as possible, especially in the review space. Time is important, because as you know, like if you release your review a day later, that's a full 24 hours where somebody else has been able to talk about a game and everyone's watched that review. And it's in many ways, I think, a little bit more aggressive in the movie making sphere, because like there are significantly more movie reviewers than there are game reviewers. There are significantly more people who sit there and go like, oh, I watched this movie, which is 2 hours long, rather than I played this game where I've got to play 7, 8, 9 hours before I have a decent idea of how the game works. Like, so the competition in the movie space is a lot more difficult. And so you have to get your movie reviews out quick. And so for me, a big part of it has always been, okay, well, I need a quick turnaround time. How can I do this quickly? But at the same time, the quality has to be there, because I'm not just doing this for myself. I'm using the skills and talents that God has given me to worship him. And so something that's always been present in my YouTube channel, I'm not always openly vocal about it, but like I'm a Christian. And so like, if there is something that stirs me in the spirit, whether it's a movie or a game, I'm like, yeah, and this is what I think God was talking about, like, to me in this.
So you try to find like I don't want to say silver lining, because it's the wrong term to use, but you find the angle and avenue of like, oh, hey, like this is a cool principle.
Yeah. Gotcha. So yes, but not always. So like, for example, sometimes there'll be a game, and I'll talk about the game. A game is a game is a game. But like, if there is something in the spirit that stirs, where God is like, hey, and talk about this. Like I did a review on a show called Messiah, and it was easy to kind of pivot towards a more Jesus direction with a show called Messiah. But it was a very blasphemous series, and it was but I loved it. I enjoyed it. I thought it tackles good topics. But like, the thing that really stood out to me, I felt like God was really placing on my heart at the time, was, do you know what you actually believe? Because the whole point of the show, well, from my point of view, is this guy comes back and says, I'm the Messiah, and everybody just believed him. Like, there were Christians who believed him, Buddhists that believed him. And I'm like sitting there going like, no, because that's not biblical. So the big thing is like, do people who actually claim to be Christians, do they actually understand what they're claiming to believe in? Because that's a big thing. We can say, oh, Jesus is good, like, I love God. What does that mean? Like, does it, like, if you're going to make a claim like that, does it reflect in your morality? Like, and all of that, like, and I had this like 2-hour tangents in my head about what does it mean if God is good? And I didn't break that entire topic down in a YouTube video, but there was a large section where I'm supposed to be giving like, oh, I enjoy the cinematography, I enjoy the music,
the narrative was
great.
Quite pleasant.
And they're just like, but let's talk about Jesus for a second. So there is always that aspect of it for me, like content creation. I mean, I only have the ability to be where I am because of God's grace. Like, he gave me these skills and talents. So I always want to make sure that they are in some way, shape or form glorifying him. And I do get it wrong. I'm not perfect. Like, that's why I need Jesus, but I do try my best. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question at all, if I went on a stupidly long tangent of nothing.
But this goes back to what I said at the beginning, is we can talk about anything and everything, and there will be substance in whatever we talk about, because it's like, oh, I get your point there. Oh, cool. And then like back and forth. But I guess to kind of approach the landing of the plane in this episode is, you know, the future of Caleb. Whether it be in context to work, whether it be in context to content creation. What I said this to someone the other day. I was like, if you had to have a conversation, you know, there's always a conversation where it's like, oh, what would you say to your 15-year-old self if they were in front of you now? And you'd be like, oh, I would say blah, 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 blah. But what would you imagine? And I think this is like where the flip comes in. What would you imagine? Twofold question. What would you imagine your
future version?
How old are you now?
I'm 27.
27. What would you imagine your 37-year-old self telling you? Or if you had to see your 37-year-old self,
what would I say?
What question would you ask?
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
Because like, it's very easy to go back in the past and be like, bro,
you need to look out for this.
Don't do this. And like, obviously, because, you know, you have the reference point. But now we're speaking into a destination where we don't know the reference point. And it's almost like, hey, based, and like, I guess the platform I could kind of almost lay with this whole thing is, in life, you experience pain, you experience hardship, you experience difficulties, you experience confusion, and you kind of learn in the process. And then in and along the way, you kind of go, oh, I should have done this. Even if it's like a short timeline, like, I should have done this. Oh, have an argument with someone. I can guarantee you an hour later, you'll be like, I should have said this. I should have said this. I should have said that. And like, it's always like that. Yeah. Where like, I guess for me, and like, maybe I'm not making too much sense in this whole idea of it, but like this afternoon, it's currently, 10:30 on a Friday morning. And it's like, I want to be able to look at myself this afternoon and kind of go, right, I think I should be like this. Whether it be more patient, forgiving, kind. Maybe, I go out to the shops and someone just completely irritates me. In the moment, I probably want to like, but it's like, it sounds weird, but like I'd almost want to tell my future self, it's like, bro, just be chilled. Yeah. It's like, because it's very easy for us to tell a friend, oh, where are you going later? Oh, you're going to see your family. Hey, Caleb, when you see your family, just give them the biggest hug. It's easy for me to talk into the future in your context. But when it comes to our own personal lives, it's like, hey, today I'm going for a meeting. Yeah. Hey, let me just make sure my posture's right. Yeah. Hey, let me make sure my language is correct. And not that you're kind of trying to preempt how you should or shouldn't be, but there is something that you're always trying to tell your future self without you really realizing it. But then asking your future self, it's like, imagine I got to see Canton when he's 40 and I say, bro, quick one. What are some of the things I should be thinking about now? Yeah. Maybe it's work out more. Maybe it's eat better. Like now I'm at the point in my life right now where I'm like, maybe I need to eat better because like I don't always want to be tired. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, if I don't always want to be tired, do I sleep more? Oh, that's not the solution because, what am I putting, quote unquote, in the tank? Yeah. Okay, maybe I should do this. But then it's like, imagine your future self is in front of you saying, trust me, eat healthier. It's going to go down so much better for you. Would that be something that my future self would tell me? So like, these are at least questions in my brain. Long-winded answer or question, but like, besides speaking to your old self, younger self, whatever, from a future Caleb, what do you think that would be? And it's so weird because it's almost like planting a seed. Because like whatever you're about to say, you're the only one that can hold yourself accountable to that.
So I'm firstly going to say, cool, this is what I would ask future Caleb. And then I'll reply by going, this is what future Caleb would tell younger Caleb.
Now, whatever future Caleb tells younger Caleb, however old that Caleb is, I'm going to bring this up. I'm like, did you tell yourself this?
So I would ask future Caleb, like, what the lotto results are for like last week. Because money would be great.
Money would be great, bro.
But so actually, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna cheat a little bit because this isn't something I needed future Caleb to tell me. This is something that I felt has been confirmed by a few people around me, and it's something that I'm trying to action now. And I've been actively actioning it for the last week and a half. But I know it still needs practice, and I'm still trying to get there. So at work, what we do is we do these things called whiffles. Whiffles, which is what I feel like expressing.
Why does that sound like something that I should go to the police office for?
I got some whiffles.
Got some whiffles.
No, but it's what I feel like expressing. So every Tuesday, because our work week starts on a Tuesday, we work Tuesdays to Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
So what we do on Tuesdays is we start off and everyone has their chance to whiffle, to say something that they feel like expressing. And I remember just at one point going like, I feel like God is telling me to keep quiet. I talk too much. Like, and like we were talking earlier about like wisdom and stuff like that. And I feel like there was just a moment where right before I was about to whiffle and I had a great story to tell. God was like, no one needs to hear that. There are moments where you just need to be quiet. And so I've been trying to action that. And I feel like future Caleb needs to come back to present Caleb and be like, you still have a long way to go. Because there will be times where like, I notice this about myself. Like I want to speak. And when I'm having conversations, sometimes there are moments where I'm like, okay, Canton, can you stop talking? Because I want to keep talking.
I want to
contribute. So like there are moments where I literally have to like hold myself back. Or if I'm at the office and someone's making a joke, I'm like, yo, I could one up this joke right now. I'm going to say something. So I don't need to.
Sure.
I don't have to be the center of attention all the time.
Yeah.
And that has been a difficult process. Because like when I first started going, okay, I have got to be more quiet. I've got to reserve myself a little bit more. Like, I remember the first day I sat there, I almost felt like I was in physical pain. I've been holding this cough for such a long time. Sorry, I couldn't do it anymore.
I want to contribute. I've been holding it in.
Okay, sorry. Let me, for the sake of the edits.
I might even just keep this in.
Yeah, just keep the whole thing in.
Like, what's a podcast episode without a held-in cough?
But the first day that I was trying to not interrupt people or just keep quiet, like, I got itchy. I was like, I need to speak. I literally felt like withdrawals.
Sure.
And that's when I realized, okay, this was an actual problem. Like, I thought I was good at talking. I mean, I would obviously listen to people, but did it ever get to a point where I was listening to people so that when I replied, I would sound wise? When I replied, I would go, look how good I am. Look at all this advice I'm giving you. Isn't this advice so good? I got to learn to just listen because you need someone to talk to, not because I want to feel prideful when yeah. And so that future Caleb just needs to come back to present Caleb and be like, hey, the hard work you're doing now,
it's like,
because like, even though it's like, it's just not talking, it sounds easy. But there are times where like, I feel like.
Well, if I could, it sounds so weird, like typical podcast. Can I bounce on that? Where it's like, I know we've had this conversation. You have ADD.
I'm not diagnosed, but I can. Oh, that's a cool Funko Pop.
So I'm not diagnosed. We both self-diagnosed.
Yeah.
But like, I didn't know what ADD was until I knew what ADD was, and then I was like, "Hey,
it makes so much sense.
That kind of sounds like me." And then like you listen to like different ADD or ADD, ADHD, whatever, but like different podcasts and different people that are like prolific voices in the scene sphere, whatever, that talk about it, and you're like, hang on a minute, I'm like that. Like, do I have ADD? So are we diagnosed? No, we're not. But there are a lot of symptoms, and I think everyone's like a little bit different. But all that to say, one of the biggest symptoms, if I can even call it that, of people with ADD is that one of your traits is that in conversation, your contribution to it, like, give you a great example. I'll use my wife as an example. If we're speaking and she's telling me something, I'll interrupt her midway because I want to say something on top of that. Not because I want to make myself heard, but it's my way of saying, I value this conversation so much. I want to show you how invested I am by sharing what I have on my mind. But to Shannon, she'll go, why did you interrupt me? And I'll be like, no, like, I didn't interrupt. And then like, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So what you're saying right there, that just listening, bro, is one of the biggest untapped potential and strength traits anyone can have. And some people do it far better than most, which is fantastic. You deserve a medal into the Olympics, whatever. But there's a book that I've read. I think it's called The Art of Dealing with People. It's like super thin book. Like you can read it very quickly. But the premise of this whole book is literally just the art of dealing with people, whether it be in a business setting, friend setting, conversation setting, whatever. And one of the key components in this book, and I'm going to butcher it, but I think it's called the chair paradox, or the chair something. And the whole thing is like, you would say to me, hey bro, look, I have a stool. And I will then go, bro, that's so cool. I have a chair. And then you will go, oh, that's epic. I like your chair. Look at my couch. And then I'll go, oh, I love your couch. Check out my whole suite. And the whole thing is we're talking about the same thing, but I feel the need to one up. And it's not necessarily a bad thing as much as it is a bad thing, because the beautiful thing in quote unquote, the art of dealing with people is if you had to say to me, hey bro, I have a stool. I should be able to go, bro, that is such a cool stool. Like, I love that stool. Like, bro, that stool, it's the best stool I've ever heard. All of a sudden, what that now does is it places so much value on you and what you're trying to tell me. Because by the time I get to my suite, in your context, what is even a stool? No. And it's difficult. We don't always get it right. But at least what I've tried to do is, unless it's absolutely detrimental for me not to tell the person, I'll just go, that is so cool, man. But genuinely saying, not just be like, cool, bro.
Yeah, you got to work on your delivery.
It's like,
you seem very bored when you told me that.
You know what I mean? So it's like you got to be like, wow, that's cool. That's awesome. Tell me about the stool. Oh, what color is the stool? So like, being so genuinely. So it's almost like listening, but listening through reply and not response. I know that sounds very weird to say, but it's like, tell me more about the stool. Not like, I'm going to reply by telling you about my chair. You know what I mean?
It's so, there's something I experienced recently when, same concept, just different in regards to mood.
Okay.
Because we're busy talking, I've got something better, I've got something better, I've got something better. The same happens in the negative. Where someone's like, hey, I'm struggling with this. Oh, man, well, let me tell you, I'm struggling with this.
Sure.
And then there is this weird competition that happens where people are like, no, you can't be upset because I'm more upset. Two people can be upset. And it's a concept that I've tried to unpack a little bit more for my own betterment and my own understanding. But I remember talking to somebody that was very, very close to me. And she just sighed. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, no, it's fine. I was like, no. That was a sad sigh. Tell me what's up. And she said, no, it's fine. You've had a bad day. We can both have a bad day.
Sure.
Just because for example, I know for that specific day, I got retrenched. It was a big deal. Her situation was she just had an argument with her boss. Like, one is definitely probably worse than the other. But I told her, it's like, I don't care how bad my day has been. If you need to vent, you are allowed to do that.
Yeah, it's a safe space.
It's a safe space. And people, I feel like, just have to start. We live in a world where it's very me-centered, especially with social media. Everything is me-centered. And that's why people have the idea that their opinions matter. Like, you're going to comment on somebody else's social media saying, this is stupid, this is dumb. Great, man. Like, I'm so glad you think your opinion matters. And again, every time we talk about opinions mattering, I'm like, that's our whole thing. People subscribe and follow us because they value our opinions. Yeah, but there's the paradoxical nature of content creation. And something that I think content creators have to remember is that, like, we can't pretend that our opinion is more important than somebody else's. Yes, more people might subscribe to our opinions.
Very true, yeah.
But it doesn't make another person's opinion less valid.
Yeah. I had this conversation. And see, I'm interrupting because I want to add to it.
But also, I've just realized, like, I was going this way, and now I'm going. Like, I had a brilliant point I was trying to make, and now I'm going that way.
But I'm so glad you touched on it, and sorry for interrupting. But what I wanted to say was, I was chatting to a friend who's not in the content creator sphere, and because, like, for me, I talk about games, I review games, you do games and movies, and I said to him like, oh, hey, this movie's come out. And he watched it and I said, oh, did you enjoy it? He was like, yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. And I said, now this person, they hated it. And I said, who's right, who's wrong? And he looked at me almost like comical and he's like, no one.
Yeah.
And I said, exactly.
Yeah.
No, there's no one's right, no one's wrong. Sure, there might be a quote unquote majority rules, but it's not a democracy. Yeah. This is an opinion. Do you like it? Yes. Do you like it? No.
Yeah.
Cool. On to the next one.
Yeah, there we go.
Problem solved.
Easy peasy.
It's so simple. Anyway, but sure, yo, what you wanted to say? You probably forgot.
I had to I had to jump back. I felt like I was doing breaststroke, backstroke.
I mean,
backstroke
you can do breaststroke if you want, bro.
But yeah, no. The points I was trying to make is, like, we need to be able to create safe spaces because with the rise of social media and everyone thinking it's all about them, we forget it's not about you. As I said earlier, like, we're designed and created to be in community. It's about the other person as much as it is about you. And so it's important to be aware that everything you say and do and everything you don't say and do, because body language is also a massive indicator about your intentions, you have to be so aware that what you say, do, or don't say and do directly impacts the other person. And earlier when you were talking about being a soccer mom, like, if we had more soccer moms in the world, life would be significantly better. I want to go back to the soccer mom thing, though. It's been 50 minutes. I just want to tell one short story.
Go for it.
You were talking about your mom busy cheering you on, and you were like, no.
Yeah.
I remember, I love, my parents were so loud. Like, so me, my brother and sister all took our sports very, very seriously. And so what would happen is we also lived right next to the high school where we all were. So if it was a sports day or something, we didn't have to get on a school bus or anything. We would just rock up at the designated times. If I needed to find my mom or dad, I could always find them. Because even if I wasn't on the school property, if I was at home, I would hear them shouting for my brother or my sister. But, like, something that will always stand out to me, because, like, I got made fun of afterwards. But I love this story. I remember first team rugby, like I'm a lock. Like I am in the scrum, I'm in the line-outs catching balls, I'm tackling huge guys. And I remember I tackled this big guy, like this the biggest guy I've ever seen. And it was I remember going like, if someone recorded that is the coolest tackle anyone has ever made. And all I hear is my mom go, "Well done, baby!" And I get up, I'm like, "That's right, Mom! Wow!" And everyone was just like, all of the girls that were there like, "What the hell is this guy busy?" I was like, I remember like, and then the referee blew, I walked off the field, I gave my mom a high five. I just love my mom.
We need more of that, bro. Well, bro, on that, thank you for being a soccer mom.
Yeah. No, thank you for being a soccer mom.
we're just a whole bunch of soccer moms. But bro, thank you for your time. Thank you for your friendship more than anything. Thank you for your words and your story. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see the future.
Oh, thanks
man. For joining me, dude.
Thank you so much for having me. You're amazing, bro.
No, you are.
Love you lots, eh?
No, I love you too, bro.